Hi guys, this is going to be the first video that we are publishing regarding microcontroller. And if you are new to the expert channel, don't forget to subscribe. Okay, in this session we are going to learn about Arduino Uno board and the microcontroller used in this Arduino Uno board, that is going to be Atmega 328P. First of all, we need to understand what's meant by this microcontroller. Microcontroller is a device, it's kind of a CPU in a computer it's going to have some control unit, and also it's going to have something that we are going to call as peripheral devices to connect with input and output devices, and also it will have some memory to store the program on it. So this is going to be the microcontroller. In this board, this is known as Arduino Uno board. The simple thing is you can actually use this microcontroller individually, but if you are using this board, Arduino Uno board, it's going to make simple to make these connections. So to connect these pins, this Atmega 328 pin is going to have some pins you can directly connect using this board. The important thing is you can work with Atmega 328P, this microcontroller, without this Arduino, also this Arduino Uno board, but it would be a little bit difficult to work on that. So in the beginner step, it would be easy to use these things, this Arduino Uno board with this Atmega 328P, and you can easily program that using Arduino IDE. First of all, let's understand what are the pins are here in this Atmega 328P microcontroller. The important thing is each pin is connected to each and every port over here. So these ports, individual ports, are directly connected to these pins. Using jumper wires, you can connect these to relevant components. So let's understand what are the types of pins that this Atmega 328P is having. You can easily search that in Google. Like if you search that Atmega 328P pins, you can actually find out what are the types of pin that this microcontroller is going to have. So let's try to understand what are the major types of pin in this board. The first type of pins is input and output pins. It's actually digital inputs and output pins. It's going to have 14 digital input and output pins. You can see over here that it has been numbered as 0 to 13, from 0 to 13, which means there are 14 input output pins, and it's actually giving the digital side. And also I have already explained what's meant by the digital and the analog in the previous video. If you haven't watched that, please watch that also, so that you can get a clear understanding about why we need digital pins separately. And when we are considering about the analog pins, you can see over here there are 6 analog pins in these sides. So these are going to be the 6 analog pins. And also here it's going to be the power, which means you need to give the power using these pins. You can actually connect this to your PC. Actually, you can connect to your laptop using this Arduino cable directly like this. If you have something and you will be having this USB drive, so you can directly connect that. If in that case, if you are connecting to the PC, it can get the power directly from your PC from this USB port. But if you are going to work separately without connecting to the computer, you can actually give the power separately using these ports. Here there are mainly the input pin we are going to call as B-in, which means you are going to give the power through that. And also you need to connect the ground. There are several ground pins, so you can use either any of them. So it's not necessary to connect in a certain number of ground pin. You can connect to your wish, so it's according to your wish. So, and also there are 5 volt and 3.3 volt, which means you can get this 5 volt if you connect something over here when this Atmega or Arduino Uno board is already powered. If you connect, or if you get an output from this port here, actually you can see there is 3.3 volt, which means you are going to get output of 3.3 voltage when this is plugged in. So if you need to connect to a device which is having or which needs 3.3 voltage to work, in that case you can directly connect this port with that device, so that device is going to get 3.3 voltage even if you supply the voltage, the power only for this board. So that's the another advantage of using these kind of boards. And I hope now you have understood there are analog ports and there is there are digital ports and there are analog ports also, and there is something for connecting to the power grid. And another important thing is when you are considering about this analog, here we have discussed this is going to be input and output digital pins, but here this is going to be the analog input pins. So the question is how we can give the analog output. Let's say if you are going to drive a motor, you need to give an analog output. The thing is, we have already learned that digital input is going to have only two poles. It's going to be either 0 or 1. But when you are sensing something from, let's say you are going to sense something as a temperature won't have a value 0 or 1. It's going to have a various set of values. It might be 21 Celsius, it might be sometimes 29.2 Celsius. In that case, we are going to tell that analog input. We are going to take that input to this analog input ports. But when you are considering about this digital, we are going to use that it's either give +1 or 0. Let's say there is a motion detector sensor. It will give 3.3 voltages when it detects something, and it will give 0 if it doesn't detect anything. Likewise, it's going to give only two values, 0 or 1. But here you can get multiple values. In that case, you are going to use this Arduino input ports. But here I have already mentioned this is going to be the output ports. But the thing here is, even though there are 14 digital input and output pins, we can generate PWM signals, which means it will act as an analog signal. It's actually not an analog signal, but the mechanism, the thing is, we can use them to drive an analog object. Let's say you can drive a motor, which means you can control its speed. You can give a set of different values for that motor by using this PWM signal. We'll be doing another descriptive video in that topic soon. But the thing is, we are not getting analog outputs from these pins. The important thing is we can drive the motor, which is going to be the analog thing, but we are going to drive using a PWM signal. The PWM signal is actually a digital signal. So the thing is, we can get the output, the PWM signal. Here you can see in these 3, 5, 6, 9, 10, 11. So there are 6 ports. They have marked a curved before that number, which means in those ports you are going to get the PWM signal, which means you can get. In other ports, you will be getting only 0 and 1. If we study a little bit, you can understand what's meant by the PWM signal. It's also going to give 0 and 1, but the time frame would be different. And let's say if the time frame is 1 minute, and for the 50 seconds it's going to be 0, and let's say another 50 seconds it's going to be 1. But in PWM signal, you can change that width. That 0 would be, let's say the 0 is going to be stayed like 30 seconds, and for the another 70% of the time it's going to be the 1. So likewise, using the PWM signal, we can actually change it's kind of, we can use it to drive the analog modules. So this is the thing that you need to know about this Arduino Uno board. Actually, this is kind of Atmega 328P microcontroller. These are already directly connected to each of those pins. I hope now you are now clear with this, and in the next video we'll be using this, and we will learn how to program this using Arduino IDE. So before that, you need to buy this board to do the experiment with us. So I have given the link in the description, so you can always buy those. And I have also given the data sheets, which means the data sheet simply means that you can see about these pins from its manufacturer. So here, let's say this Atmega 328P. So from this microcontroller manufacturer, you can actually, they will be having a data sheet, which pin means which one, and they will be having a descriptive one. So I have given that in the link, so please refer that too. It would be, sometimes you won't be getting those things very much, but it's better to go through that. So if you get stuck in anything, you can easily refer to those data sheets. So I hope now you are clear with what are the analog pins and the digital pins and the power pins this Atmega 328P is having. So just buy this, and from the next video we are going to learn about how to do those projects using this microcontroller. Thank you.